Imagine discovering that a massive bomb-proof underground vault in the heart of London has been gutted. 14 million pounds in diamonds, gold, and cash has just vanished into the night. There are no fingerprints. There is no DNA. The thieves completely bypassed world-class security and disappeared like absolute ghosts. At first glance, this looks exactly like a Hollywood movie, the flawless work of a highly trained elite syndicate of international master thieves. But when detectives finally unraveled the mystery of who actually pulled off the biggest heist in British history, they were stunned. And how they got caught is stranger than any fiction. This is the story of the Hatton Garden Heist. Welcome. This is the corporate narrator, bringing you the most gripping true stories out there. If you love deep dives, dark twists, and stories that stay with you long after they end, make sure you like and subscribe. Help us grow our channel, because every new subscriber fuels the next unforgettable story. And trust me, the next one starts now. April 2nd, 2015, Thursday night, 8:20 p.m. The City of London is shutting down for a long 4-day Easter weekend. The streets in Hatton Garden, the city's diamond district, are empty. A white transit van pulls into Leather Lane, an alleyway just around the corner from the Hatton Garden Safe Deposit building. Two men step out. They are wearing high-visibility vests and hard hats. They look exactly like overnight gas repairmen. To anyone looking out a window, there is absolutely nothing suspicious about them. Then, a third man arrives. He's carrying a black bin bag slung over his shoulder. He wears a flat cap. His collar is pulled up high, and his face is completely obscured from the cameras. He walks straight up to the heavy, locked front door of the secure building and calmly unlocks it. He has the keys. This man is a phantom. The crew will later refer to him only as Basil. Basil slips inside the building. He moves with a chilling level of precision, completely avoiding every single camera blind spot. He knows exactly where to step. He walks down the main hall and unbolts the heavy fire escape doors from the inside. Outside, the white van quietly backs up to the open doors. The crew unloads massive industrial wheelie bins, but they aren't filled with trash. Inside these bins are hundreds of pounds of heavy-duty equipment, diamond-tipped concrete drills, heavy metal joists, and a 10-ton hydraulic ram. They drag this heavy gear down into the basement courtyard. They pry open a heavy iron shutter, exposing the building's elevator. And then, they hit the kill switch. One by one, this shadow crew drops down into the pitch-black elevator shaft. They slide down the greasy, heavy counterweight cables, rappelling deep into the subterranean depths of the building. Once they hit the basement floor, they pry open a locked electrical cupboard. With the surgical precision of an elite bomb squad, they snip the exact wires needed to kill the main phone lines to the alarm system. They are in, but they still have to get through the vault. The vault door is a massive slab of Chubb-reinforced steel. You can't blow it up without bringing the building down. You can't pick it. So, they decide to go around it. They set up a heavy-duty Hilti DD 350 diamond core drill, bolting it to the floor and ceiling so it won't kick back. They mount it directly against the vault wall. But this wall isn't just standard concrete. It's half a meter thick and heavily laced with thick steel rebar. It is agonizing, back-breaking work. Each hole takes 30 minutes of deafening, grinding labor to drill. Dust chokes the dark air. They drill one hole, then another, then another. They are meticulously connecting the circles to create a jagged opening, just 25 centimeters high and 45 centimeters wide. But suddenly, everything goes terribly wrong. While they were snipping the alarm wires earlier, they made a single mistake. The alarm didn't ring out loud, but severing that wire triggered a silent failsafe. An automated SMS text message had just been beamed directly to a private security firm. Down in the vault, the men are covered in sweat and concrete dust. They turn off the massive drill to let it cool, and in the sudden silence, they hear a sound above them. Footsteps. A security guard has arrived. He is walking through the ground floor lobby. He is shining his bright flashlight through the darkness, checking the doors. Down in the pitch-black basement, the crew freezes. They are completely trapped. There is no back door. There is no emergency exit. There is only one way out, and it's right up the elevator shaft the guard is currently standing next to. If the guard opens the basement door and shines his light down the stairs, they are caught. Decades of prison time. No escape. They hold their breath in the dark, listening to the heavy boots on the floorboards above, getting closer and closer. But then, the guard stops. He checks the front door. It's locked tight. He sweeps his flashlight around the lobby. Everything looks completely normal. Why? Because Basil, the Phantom, had meticulously relocked the front door behind him and cleaned up their tracks. The guard assumes it was a glitch in the system. He shrugs, turns around, and walks out. Down below, the crew breathes a massive sigh of relief. They turn the drill back on. They push through the final layer of concrete. They smash out the center block. They are finally in. Wait, no, they aren't. On the other side of the hole is a massive, solid steel cabinet holding the deposit boxes. It's bolted directly to the floor. They try to push it, but it won't budge an inch. They bring in their 10-ton hydraulic ram to smash the cabinet out of the way. They wedge it in. They pump the handle. The pressure builds. And then, snap! The heavy metal ram breaks in half. They are mere inches away from 14 million pounds, but they are completely stuck. Frustrated, exhausted, and out of time before the sun comes up, they leave. They pack up, crawl back up the shaft, and walk away into the London night. But this crew does not give up. They come back the very next night with a brand new hydraulic pump. They drop back down the shaft. They set up the pump, and this time, the massive steel cabinet buckles and crashes to the floor. They crawl through that tiny, jagged hole. Armed with crowbars, they violently crack open 73 safe deposit boxes. And they walk away with bags stuffed to the brim with millions in gold bullion, untraceable cash, and flawless diamonds. When Scotland Yard detectives arrived on Tuesday morning, they were absolutely stunned. The media went wild. They called it the work of an elite international syndicate, an Ocean's 11-style operation executed by criminal masterminds in peak physical condition. For weeks, the police hunted these super-thieves. They tracked traffic cameras around the vault. They noticed a white Mercedes driving in tandem with the white getaway van. They ran the plates. They bugged the cars. For weeks, undercover police sat in unmarked vans, listening to the crew boast about the heist over the wiretaps. They even caught the crew loudly demonstrating how they crawled through the hole, bragging about their newfound wealth. So, Scotland Yard prepared for a massive, heavily armed raid. They kicked down the doors of the suspects' houses simultaneously, weapons drawn, expecting to find hardened, dangerous international operatives. But when the smoke cleared, the police lowered their weapons in absolute disbelief. Because this is the greatest twist of the story. The massive secret that the British media couldn't believe. These weren't young, athletic super-thieves. They weren't a high-tech international syndicate. They were pensioners. They were grandfathers. Let me introduce you to the real Shadow Crew. The mastermind? His name was Brian Reeder. He was 76 years old. He traveled to the greatest heist in British history, using his senior citizen's free public bus pass. The man who was sweating and holding his breath in the basement? Terry Perkins, age 67. He had a severe heart condition, and he had to bring 3 days' worth of insulin to the heist because he was heavily diabetic. The wheelman? John Kenny Collins, age 74. He had severe arthritis, bad knees, and memory issues. And the muscle? Danny Jones, age 60. An eccentric old man who famously slept in his mother's dressing gown and a red fez hat. The press immediately dubbed them the Diamond Geezers, or Dad's Army. They were analog criminals living in a digital world, and that is why they got caught. You see, when the hydraulic pump broke on that first night, they needed a new one. But instead of acting like elite thieves, they acted like senile old men. On Saturday morning, the 74-year-old wheelman, John Collins, drove to a tool shop in Twickenham to buy a replacement. Did he steal a car? No. He drove his own personal, registered white Mercedes. Did they wear masks? No. Danny Jones walked up to the cashier, bought the drill pump, and gave his real name and real home address for the receipt. When the police raided their houses, it was almost laughable. They found bags of diamonds stuffed under floorboards, cash buried behind skirting boards. In one of their houses, detectives literally found a book titled Forensics for Dummies. Danny Jones even tried to negotiate from prison. He told the cops he would show them where he buried his share of the loot. He took them to a cemetery, pointed out a small bag under a gravestone, and said, "That's everything." He didn't realize the police had already noticed disturbed earth nearby and dug up his massive primary stash of gold hidden just a few graves away. The grandpas were sent to maximum security prison. Case closed, right? Wrong. Because out of the 14 million pounds stolen, the police only recovered about a third. Nearly 10 million pounds in flawless diamonds, pure gold bullion, and untraceable cash is still missing. Gone forever, dispersed into the global black market. But the biggest mystery isn't just the money, it's the phantom, Basil. While the grandpas made every mistake in the book, driving their own cars, using their real names, keeping the loot in their houses, Basil did none of that. Basil was the one who had the keys to the front door. Basil was the one who knew exactly where the alarm wires were. Basil was the one who wiped the camera servers on his way out. He let the old men take the fall. For years, nobody knew who he was. He vanished into thin air with millions of pounds. Was he an inside man? A crooked security guard? Or a hired gun from a darker, much more dangerous crime syndicate that used these old men as a convenient distraction? For 3 years, the police chased a ghost. But in 2018, they finally got a break. Using advanced surveillance and complex gate analysis from the CCTV footage, detectives finally unmasked the Phantom. His real name was Michael Seed. He wasn't an international super spy. He was a reclusive alarm specialist who paid for everything in cash and hadn't paid taxes since the 1980s. Police raided his apartment, found a portion of the stolen jewelry, and locked him away in maximum security. But even with the Phantom behind bars, the story isn't over. Because the police only found a tiny fraction of the missing loot in his apartment. To this day, the true origins of the Hatton Garden blueprints remain shrouded in shadow. Somewhere out there, an untold fortune is sitting in the dark, waiting. What would you have done with the missing 10 million? Let me know in the comments down below if you made it all the way to the end. Thank you for watching. Seriously, it means more than you think. Before you go, I want to hear from you. What story should we cover next? And how can we make these videos even better for you? Drop your ideas, feedback, or even the darkest cases you've heard of down in the comments. Help us grow this channel into something unforgettable. And until the next story, stay curious.